Initiating system 1. System 1 loaded.
We are one. We are a legion. Break the system of corruption. Fight with your mind, Anonymous. Freedom. Justice. Liberty. Hope. Love. Truth. Anonymous.
Attention fellow Anonymous. In less than 4 days we will stand as a mask and an affront to face perhaps our greatest challenge and our least virtuous foe simultaneously, in an engagement which will test our rank against the stench of these repugnant modern times. Just over 1 year ago, fake news stories of killer clowns appearing in communities across America were populating social media feeds in the hopes that an escalation of public fear would lead to a national ban against wearing masks in public places, especially during anti-political and anti-establishment demonstrations. Now just 1 year later, the #1 box office draw is an overhyped reproduction of a movie about a killer clown, and in our streets the real psychopaths are actors being paid through the clandestine funding of a few wealthy elites and media giants, as well as through receiving the perverse protection of laws that are circumstantially ignored to condone violence and vandalism as reputably reasonable acts of free expression and First Amendment exorcism as rights. It is so counter-logical that it cannot even be described as ironic or merely cognitively dissonant. One must not stare very long to see that these outbursts we have endured over the past several weeks are not merely demonstrations to stand against fascism in the political arena, but these tasteless and immature outbursts are intended to produce an overall demonization of political and civil protest through confusion and chaos. These confused posers are being led by contractually glorified vagrants who take their very name from the oppressive roots that evolved into Nazi Germany before the Second World War. They not only insult the millions of citizens whom they claim to represent while destroying public and private property and leaving the public to clean up and cover the bills of reconstruction, but these misguided souls are also being used as a weapon to attack the reputation of all anonymous activists using violence, hate speech and vandalism as a vehicle to assist our repressive governmental constructs toward the agendas of further restricting our basic rights and removing the very freedoms upon which our country was founded just over 240 years ago. Further, the puppeteers whom are organizing and financing these shameful and criminal presentations are making a mockery of American culture by using its own membership to exploit the short memory, willful ignorance and fatally shallow moral trigger systems that epitomize the ego-driven immaturity by which these rich bastards have convinced rational members of our society to adopt the exact name and flag of one of the worst political groups in modern history. They are playing each other as fools, treating people as disposable tools that can be sacrificed for the causality of it all. These are the same ideological deficiencies that united us in the past. We are familiar and recognize this as being the same enemy we have faced in the past. We have kept a close watch upon the individuals who fund and enable these anti-fascist purveyors of fascism. We know more about their contradictions than many may think to be possible. We recognize the faces and voices that have always revealed how much truth is in the putting of certain things, such as 1. Putting up the money to hire and protect domestic terrorist groups to coerce public participation and advance political agendas. 2. Putting stories in the media which subversively blame computer hackers for top headline crimes such as the rigging of elections, ID theft and compromising credit bureau security mainframes affecting millions, wire fraud and money laundering, cyber terrorism, treason, etc. 3. Putting rival ideological extremist groups in public engagements which are politically and financially charged to incite violence and disrupt public safety and community consensus regarding activism, and encouraging early-stage police involvement in political protests. 4. Putting the labels terrorist, fascist, racist, or just enemy on individuals and groups that have other political or ideological beliefs than the overprivileged few who finance these skirmishes but never attend them. 5. Putting a discernible risk at the feet and in the face of Anonymous in the form of a line drawn in the sand, which we have penned into existence and have in turn dared ourselves not to cross by virtue of our own rules of this engagement. Within these truths, we hold the proof to be self-evident that our movement is still doing just that. The idea is still moving people. Our task to equalize all societies as through empowering the individual person has taken away power from big government and corporate cartels while adding wealth to the people of Earth. Our mission to silence censorship has become a catalyst for many new and impactful voices which would have otherwise never echoed nor whispered aloud the thoughts which are reshaping our world into a better place. Our presence has been the gift of hope which in the darkest days of modern civilization has been a light to expose the tyranny of some, the corruption of much, the treason of many, and the duties we all must accept to clearly evoke transparency in the functioning of governments as well as to expect clarity through accountability by public officials. We are legion and in allegiance to no central theme greater than nor any surrounding mantra less than these two words which resoundingly have grown to receive unanimously the same global compliance. Expect us. It would seem that the challenge which lies on the horizon this November 5th is the proof that we are expected. The fact that we have been threatened to face the slings and arrows of the audacious and misfortunate, reveals the extent to which our desperate counterparts have run out of options. They have offered us an ultimatum because we are the dilemma that has plagued the banksters and politicians who secretly provide them with resources and money. We have lurked and we are always watching. It seems that every year their rumor mills, hate mongers, and media sources we hear in the United States have only the same misguided fears to offer. We would like to remind you all, our brothers and sisters, just exactly whom we are. We would like to remind the world at large, as well as all who consider themselves an enemy of Anonymous. All of you should know that. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We are all people. We are all countries. We are all beings. We will not be divided by zero due to impossibility. We are the op. We own the mod. We are the admins and subtract mins. We are the horrible senseless monster your mother warned you about. We want you to tell your mother, Anonymous is still able to deliver, and that only she may ignore rule number 20. We know all your carefully picked arguments can be ignored. We do not argue with trolls. Trolls lose to Anonymous. We laugh as you try hard and fall even harder. Hate us more and we grow stronger. We always meme serial business. Anonymous is nothing. Be advised that nothing is to be taken very seriously. You should have lurked more. We see your tactless behavior, and we hear your tiny voice. You are the intolerant regime that you will succeed in destroying. The United States is bankrupt because of your masters. There is no money, only debt. Rebellion for the sake of rebellion is futility. Your paid rebellion has no value. We are the lulls and you are mad bro. Oh well. Tits or GTFO? We ask all fellow Anonymous to be vigilant during this triple M in new areas. We must all remember that trolls mean that we are the force being feared. We win at the arrival of their pop-tarded voices unless we are provoked into violence. Anonymous is all power. No one needs to defend superior Anonymous. Anyone wearing the idea as a logo while engaging in physical aggression toward persons or property is not Anonymous, and by their actions they are confessing that they are individuals acting as their own authority. Acts of violence or vandalizing property is an admission of posing to be Anonymous for political and social espionage in an attempt to defame Anonymous as a whole. This will not be tolerated nor go unpunished. When the old kids show up, we will get our lulls and the violators will be charged for the party. As precautionary measures are in order on the day on this November 5th, it is good to note that it is advisable to create groups of 10 to 15 people. Anonymous are encouraged to form within each demonstration and assembly to promote overall safety and discourage any potential attackers from attempting to harm other individuals. If any one of you is unsure about the sincerity of another individual or group, we encourage the immediate preservation of individual safety above all else. If you are being obviously targeted, or suspect specific behavior is being used to single you or other individuals out, it is our suggestion that you do whatever you must to find safety immediately and or report suspicious behavior to the nearest law enforcement agent as soon as possible. It is not in our power nor our interest as a collective to issue anyone a direct order, and as such no anon may act as the individual leader or voice of any group. This message is not your master. No message is your instruction if it contains or endorses hate speech, division, physical intimidation, or aggressive language toward anyone or any group of demonstrators or observers. It was just over 11 years ago Anonymous established its roots as an act of unity, taking a symbolic stand together against bigotry and racism, seeking to avenge the victims of socio-economic oppression and religious or political abuse of power. While admittedly we began under a bonnet which uplifted vigilantism and consensus use of vendetta, in the years of persistently incessant activism since, we have evolved into a more refined social consensus, recognizing in agreement that we cannot inspire peace by waging war on our opposition. Through responding with violence to violence, we would only reward those who seek such futile and repressive ends and become means for the powers we aspire to stamp out. We cannot teach humanity to choose love from within a conscious and continuous display of hatred. We cannot evoke unity by provoking vigilante judgment and the separation of ideas. It has been a long road since the days when many of the few aligned ourselves in the hotel lobby as offensive symbols to expose the hypocrisy of hating hatred as a moral standard against intolerance. The kids who closed the pool have marched from the lulls of our youthful displays of civic disobedience, to the tears of a mature civilized installment against civil disempowerment and social desirability bias. We stand here today in the same collective cause, yet we are the effect of those ambitious dreams we shared so many years ago. Our footprints have only amplified. Our deafening cadence has become known as the very pulse of humanity for the months and miles since we began marching in harmony. From the radio to the internet, the podcast to the television broadcast, from Salt Lake to Clearwater, Westboro to Wall Street, from Chicago to Sydney to the Crown to the Kremlin to the Sudan to Jordan to Haiti to Kuwait City to Washington, D.C. around the world again. Can't you hear it? We are louder than ever. See, trolls, the world has a heart, after all. We are matured and seasoned veterans of our own intellectual caliber. It stands apparent that our poise and our patient resistance against compromising the value of our greatest asset, which is the honor of our reputation as a whole. This standing embodiment of integrity will continue to unite and attract more people into our circle of diverse, talented, truth-seeking and highly skilled collective, and our impact on the world at large will only continue to grow and unite the persons of Earth under our protection and acceptance as part of our one unified consciousness. We are peaceful, and we are tenaciously dedicated to peace on a global scale. We are loved enough to survive the hatred we have earned from those who know us as their rivals. We are the sole source of light many of us have ever known, and we are the only light many more of us will ever see again. We are zero without peace. We are zero without love. We are all as one, and in that we are the swift gavel of justice online and outlined in the streets. It is in this moment that we must rise up and unite ourselves and know we will never again be the same if we allow recent threats to force us into hiding. Anonymous does not feel fear. Anonymous does not hide. Anonymous does not walk away. Anonymous knows why we exist, and that is the reason that all the stops have been pulled out by those in power this first week of November. The evil bastards are expecting us. We will be punctual as always. So, as our world is watching and without us, the bystanders of our time will certainly know the difference between us and the impostors that act as though they are opposites of themselves. We are not at the odds. We will not seek to get even, for we would have to subtract from ourselves to stand eye to eye with such regressive behaviors and ideals. We are above these pretenders. We are the one, the many, the sum totality of Anonymous. Although Anonymous stands for no politics or ideological belief system, our detractors and critics accuse Anonymous of uniting under anarchist political views. While these sources argue this unintelligible claim, their ignorance stems from the misunderstanding that anarchy means that we aspire toward no government at all. This claim is twice wrong. Anarchy is not the singular presence of no government, it is the ubiquitous acceptance of self-government and selfless consideration in simultaneous symbiosis of heart and mindfulness. Anarchism in truth is self-discipline, integrity, personal and civic responsibility and accountability that each person must embody above and beyond all other codes of conduct. While some Anonymous may be ready to make such a bold stand as to lead in that example of maturity in self and society, these same Anonymous recognize that not all of the population is ready to uphold this type of commitment or accept death as a consequence. Self-accountability acts as a truth much the same as locks on our doors, or the act of each man wearing his gun in the Old West. These effects are merely ideas which serve only to keep the honest men honest. For that reason, and within the mercy that realization does inspire, Anonymous as a collective does not stand under any political, religious, societal or philosophical point of view. Anonymous stands instead so that all views, even those who have sworn themselves as our enemies, can be heard. Anonymous runs to the challenge. Anonymous runs from no one or group. Anonymous is everywhere and nowhere. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. We do not concede. Expect us.
And my love said to me, meet me down by the gallows tree, for it's sad news I bring about this old town and all that it's offering. Some say troubles abound. Someday soon they're gonna pull the old town down. One day we'll return here when the Belfast chime sings again. Brother, sister, where are you now? As I live free, right through the crowd. All my life here I've spent with my faith in God, the church and the government. Some say troubles abound. Someday soon they're gonna pull the old town down.
Thank you.